Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the day. It's a 2-Minute Tuesday on February 14th. Last week, I was in Colorado Springs for NFCYM's Exchange. It was so good to be there, just meeting my colleagues. I have tons of Zoom calls with these folks throughout the country. It was just great to be in person. Also reconnecting with some other folks. Bro Rhy, remember Rhyan Ramirez was our keynote at our convention last year here in Helena. He did a session there on mental health and some strategies for social emotional learning that was just really good. Great to connect to him and see him again. We also had Bishop Espilliat, who was the final keynote at NCYC in Long Beach a few months ago. He was also at Exchange and just did a phenomenal job in leading adoration and just kind of some really good spiritual experiences. He really talked and encouraged all of us about doing worship and liturgies really well. His tagline was "Lead worship like lives depend on it." Really good just to hear him. I also reconnected with some of our Region 12 neighbors. It was so good to connect with Diane Bruno and Matt Reichart from the OCP. They're out in Portland. And just a lot of fun connecting with everyone. Also had an update on a lot of the national initiatives coming out of the USCCB from Paul Jarzembowski, who's works in the USCCB on the Committee on Laity, Family Life, and Youth. Talked about World Youth Day, the Eucharistic Revival, and the upcoming document that the USCCB is going to be publishing hopefully soon on ministry with youth and young adults. So all in all, just a really great week, although it was a long time to be away from family, so I'm glad to be back in the office. We had our last CYC board meeting of the year this last weekend in Butte, which was just a ton of fun. It was all work this weekend. We really didn't do anything as far as formation, although we did have a great prayer session. Thanks to Father Hanley for leading adoration on Friday night for us. We had a lot of work to do this weekend, specifically around convention, the Eucharistic Congress, and the CYC board just did a phenomenal job. And I am super excited now as we kind of filled in a lot of the details for the convention, which again, mark your calendars, March 25th through the 26th. Information and registration at diocesehelena.org/Eucharistic Congress, or we have some youth-specific information about the convention at diocesehelena.org/convention. Anyway, we had a great weekend. It's just fun to be around all the CYC board youth. They're just phenomenal people. Anyone who thinks that the church is dying or that young people aren't engaged in their faith has never been to a CYC board meeting. I was just so inspired. We listened to 15 different testimonies as we're working through who's going to be our youth keynotes at convention. And hearing how God is working in the lives of these young people is just so inspiring. And I can't wait to share these messages with you at convention. They're just absolutely phenomenal young people that are just so inspiring. At the CYC board meeting, we also talked a little bit about next year and how we want to structure CYC board, including some events. And so talking about some upcoming events we have, starting with this summer, we have our Justice Outreach Project in Browning the week of June 25th through the 30th. I hope to have the registration open by the end of this week. Also, just note that JOP is the same week as the first high school camp at Legendary Lodge, which at this point is on a waiting list only, like most of the other camp. So if you have families who are interested in doing Legendary Lodge this year, they need to register. And if they're wanting to get on that waiting list as soon as possible, information at legendarylodge.org. Legendary Adventure Camp registration is open. You can find that at legendarylodge.org. This is the week-long backpacking trip through the wilderness with Father Kirby. There's two options for that. We have the first camp is July 9th through the 14th, and then the very next week, July 16th through the 21st. This is a phenomenal experience if you have a young person who really loves the outdoors and is fit enough to hike 6 to 8 miles a day and looking for a really unique experience. It's a really, really awesome opportunity. Finally, for this summer, Carroll College is doing a summer camp for high school youth. This is sort of a new program that was born out of the partnership with our Kateri Institute and Father Kirby's Legendary Adventure Camp. It's an experience, it's sort of like day hikes and experiences around the Helena area. So if you have a young person who really wants that sort of outdoor experience but isn't ready for a full week-long backpacking trip with Father Kirby, this is a really cool experience where you'll do kind of day trips and adventures around the Helena area with Carroll College's home base. So things like rafting, hiking, mountain biking, that sort of stuff. That camp is the week of July 23rd through the 27th. And our favorite admissions counselor, Julia Malmo, who's been at every CYC board meeting and a part of our events this year, is coordinating that program. You can contact her for details and registration. Email is probably the best way. It's jmalmo@carroll.edu. That's MALMO. That's it for this week. As always, please pray for me, pray for our bishop, and together we'll all pray for our young people. God bless.